Shari Bruyn is a math teacher with a wood shop. In 2019, with little woodworking experience and shoes and a shoestring budget, she proposed the first geometry and construction class in her school district.
I have pretty much no woodworking background. I just played with hammer and nails when I was a kid, and I used Annika's videos all the time. I've always wanted a geometry 2 class. Kids get one shot at geometry and that's it. There's no more geometry ever in a high school. So this was another way to extend the concepts in geometry, kind of nail them down a little bit more. No pun intended. And so we review the basics of geometry and then come into the wood shop here and apply them, and hopefully some of it sinks in a little more.
Wood shop.
We start with surface area because our first project's a cornhole board, which is, I have one right behind me here. And so we start with surface area for painting, and then Pythagorean's theorem, so they can make sure their cornhole board is square, not off kilter. So square roots of Pythagorean's theorem is almost day one in surface area and volume. Well, this year we made some porch swings, and a pair of girls in my class are like, I'd rather make something else. And I said, fine, what do you want to make? So we came up with a twin bed, and their goal was to make it and donate it. So how does that have to do with geometry? Well, these are let's say the back, like the headboard, and the girls had to make sure these were parallel, because if they weren't parallel, then the headboard would be crooked. So they had to figure out how to tell the distance between the top and the bottom to keep the distance the same, which in geometry is the transversal. They needed the distance formula to use to get their headboard square, as they say in woodworking. And also the slats on the bottom, we had to be sure that the slats were parallel. Otherwise, when they got done, one end would look like this and the other end would look like this. So we really had to work on distance. And during that week, we were working on distance formula in the classroom. You can see the parallel lines on both. And there is the bed in the bedroom. It looks absolutely gorgeous. Yes, this is cornhole boards that we made. That's the very first project we make, and we use Pythagorean's theorem to make sure the frame is square and then put the top on. We have to measure down to get the hole in the right place, and then use a jigsaw to cut the circle, which is always an incredible challenge.
Yeah.
And then the art kids who don't like math, the art kids shine at this moment. As you can see, this is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. And so the Pythagorean theorem, the way you used it was you have your length and your width, and you'll make sure you're using the Pythagorean theorem, the diagonals are what they should be. And also because it's a rectangle, you make sure that the diagonals are congruent. So that's how you're applying it.
Yes, and if they want to find the middle of the board to put a design in the middle, then they remember the diagonals of a rectangle bisect each other. So they just put 2 strings on corner to corner on the diagonals, and then that will help them find the middle just instantly, and they don't even have to measure. So there's more theorems of math that we use. So this is one of the boards. This is we're in Illinois, so this is our Fighting Illini board. So to measure, make sure that it is square, as they say. So this is 48 inches here. And then on this side, this is 24 inches. And then I have the students calculate it they whip their phones out, which is fabulous. And to make sure the diagonals measure the correct distance. So that's how they use Pythagorean's theorem in the shop. I give them a list. I write out everything we need, 2x4s, screws, and I split the list into parts, and I hand each kid something to go buy, and I say, okay, go find it. And I turn them loose. So they go in pairs around the store, and they come back with a box of nails. Here's the screws. No, no. These are nails. We need screws, and this is what you should look for. So they learn their way around the hardware store. They learn to ask. They learn how much stuff costs. when we go to pay for everything and I have the school credit card and I have the kids guess to see how much it costs, and they're never anywhere close. It's always much, much higher than they thought, and they're just so surprised. And with that lesson, they take care of the screw guns, they take care of the sanders, and they're careful with it because they understand this stuff costs money.
Right.
So that's another reason for the field trip.
But you also mentioned that the two people who started this class, Tom Moore and Scott Burke, have a lot of statistics to support that.
Boy, do they. Yes. It's geometry and construction out of Loveland, Colorado. They teach it where they team teach it. Tom is the math teacher and Scott is the shop teacher. They say that there's a regular geometry class at their high school and there's geometry and construction as a first year class. And the kids in geometry and construction usually outscore the other kids on the state tests because they're applying their skills, not just writing stuff down on paper.